Good morning, my name is Chris Adam with Youth Pledge for Employers, and I'm delighted to be joined by Danielle Bailey, a Deputy General Manager for Gough Hotels. Hello there, Danielle.
Hi, thank you for
Uh,
having me.
yeah, no, thank you for giving up your time this morning. I'm very appreciative of it. So I guess my starter for 10 question has to be, can you tell me a little bit about Gough Hotels and what you do within the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with Gough Hotels for 12 years now. The company owns two hotels and one pier, a seaside pier in Southwold. In terms of what I do, I'm a deputy general manager, so I work for the GM who manages all three sites. Most of my experience has been at the Salt House Harbour Hotel, where I helped manage that for nearly 9 years. So very operational, all hands on deck, working front of house, back of house, everything. And then now I'm at the pier in more of a strategic role, I would say, as it's very seasonal, but managing the team, recruitment, and working in any area that needs me, I suppose.
Fantastic. As I say, there's a reason they include the general in the title, isn't there? As
you say, it's very general.
Going wherever you're needed. No, that's fantastic. And so, out of curiosity, as you say, you say there with your experiences that you've been the hands-on, let's say, doing the front of house, back of house roles, and now you're sort of doing the strategic side of things as well. If you had to talk a little bit about the skills you're using, in the strategic side of things, and then the skills you're using on the day-to-day front of house, back of house type things, what skills were you using?
Okay, well, if I start from the beginning, I've been reflecting on my career for as part of a course I'm doing at the minute. So I've kind of been picking up a lot about how I got to where I was. I think the main thing about hospitality is it's really accessible. So in terms of education, you don't necessarily need to have any qualifications or skills to join it. The only skills you need is to be able to talk to people, to be friendly, to be able to smile, to be willing to problem solve if you need to, and listen, I think, and also having a little bit of charisma. I think sometimes the best people who work for us are people with a keen interest in theatre and acting, because most of what we do, we're actually on a stage. Even the kitchen environment now, we're talking about open kitchens coming into popularity, so even chefs have to kind of have an aspect of confidence and be wary about how they're coming across and how customers are perceiving them. So being able to kind of put on a theatrical front is quite important as well, if you're having a bad day but you need to look like you're having loads of fun. So yeah, in terms of access to the industry, you don't really need anything. Obviously it's desirable, but it's you can learn. We can teach you all the skills you need in order to progress in the industry, if that's what you want to do, or just to be a really, really fantastic worker. We actually prefer people to come to join us who don't have any experience at all sometimes, because that way you don't have any bad habits. So sometimes it's good if you're fresh off the plate. So in terms of accessing the industry, yeah, you really don't need much. You just need a nice personality. I could go into it, in order to develop your career. If I give you an example, our general manager, who manages all three sites now for the owner, so he manages operations, finance, marketing, everything. He's got no formal education whatsoever. So yeah, he came from Portugal, I think 15, 20 years ago, and worked his way up, and now he runs it all, and he's never done a course, really, nothing of any formal qualification. So yeah, the opportunities are endless. I guess you could ask how we got there, and I think it all comes down to leadership, really.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and I actually love that analogy about it being a performance piece. I've got a reasonably decent hospitality background myself, and I remember working for someone in hospitality, and they described to me that when you're doing hospitality work, they said you need to be like a swan, graceful and precise on top, but your legs are paddling away like mad under the surface. So I can completely understand and relate to that. And I find it quite interesting that, as I say, you sort of beat me almost to my next question, but I was going to talk about sort of candidates and the skills you look for in people when they come in and these kind of things. So as you say, obviously you look for someone who maybe comes in who maybe actually you can sort of say, make sure they have done any bad habits, mold them to the way you want. But what kind of core skills or soft skills ideally have they got that will allow them to hit the ground running?
You need to have so much empathy, because In terms of customers, and if you've ever, we've worked in customer service, so you'll understand. The problems that, or not problems, but challenges you face are generally meeting the expectations of the customer. Everyone who walks in the door has different expectations about what they want from you, and you need to be able to understand that pretty quickly. You go over, just very simply, you'll go over to a guest and ask how they are, and you'll soon be able to click how much they want to talk to you or how much they don't, and you need to respect that. Some people are in a meeting, they don't want us to talk to them. Some might be on their own and they want to have a conversation. Some might be having a special occasion and they just want a little bit of chat, just to kind of remember us by as well. I think understanding the customer expectation is key, and also things do go wrong in hospitality. We're human beings, and we can't always do things perfectly by a long way, and being able to empathize if something has gone wrong, and really look like you care, because you do care. And if you're good at hospitality and if you're in the right industry, you really care. So it's not hard to show that, but being able to portray it and come across in the right way is essential, really.
No, thank you for that. And I completely agree that I think, again, based on my own experiences, that ability to sort of almost empathize and be willing to embrace any mistakes you make and learn from it and grow and take experiences you learn from one person into the next person, if you see what I mean. It's such an important part of building a career in hospitality.
100%.
Based on my own experiences, definitely. And hospitality is one of those industries where, how do I put it, because it's in the public eye a lot of the time, a lot of people have got opinions on it. A lot of people will be aware of maybe what they think the challenges are, what they think the good parts of the job are. So from your background experiences, as I say, sort of having done a little bit of everything, what do the good days look like in hospitality, and what do the bad, challenging days look like?
Okay. You kind of know when the challenging days are coming up. If you don't enter hospitality lightly, you kind of have to come, if you want it as a career, knowing that Christmas is going to be busy. Every single bank holiday weekend is going to be busy. If you want a career where you're going to have it all off, just to be with family and friends, then you're in the wrong job. I think what you soon learn is that the people at work become your friends. They are your friends, and they do become your family. And any time off that you get to spend with your own family is a bonus. In terms of your question about what a good day looks like, it's all about organisation, and it's all about coming into work knowing you can't always prepare for what's going to happen, because it can go from having no lunch bookings to having 50 or 60 people in for lunch. But you just need to always be prepared for every eventuality. A good day in hospitality is where you come in, everyone's in place, you're around your key workers. It can be absolutely the most hectic service you've ever done, but it's all about the camaraderie and the team spirit, and having those people supporting you, and you can get through anything if you've got that team behind you. I think a bad day is when things do go wrong, and you're hit with challenges that you can't control, and you just have to accept that. We're a hotel, and everyone needs to have a shower all at the same time, generally in the morning, and the hot water the boilers might just go, and you need to be prepared that you can't control everything, but what you can do is control how you react to it and how you come across to customers, because that's the main thing. I think the worst days have been where something like that's gone wrong, and you can't do anything about it. You can try and fix it, and then I think, but even then it's a challenge, and if you're up for anything, then it makes it quite exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I've definitely been there even when you have those challenging days, and even if they're bad days, if you've got a supportive team around you, which I think all hospitality tends to build quite naturally, because as I say, you're all sort of fighting the same fight, as it were. That actually it can feel really good. And some of the sort of best work days I've had is getting through busy services with colleagues, whether they be in the kitchen, in the front of house, etc. And I'd find myself coming home from a long shift being like, I'm absolutely
exhausted,
tired and exhausted, but I feel very proud of myself and what we achieved there.
And I think, like, I've got young children now, and even the first couple of Christmases, I still work Christmas Day because it's probably one of my favourite days to work, because you're not with your family, but you're with your work family. And probably sound like a terrible parent, but now I try and spend it with them because the pier does close. But it's all about that sense of belonging that I don't. To be honest, I haven't got much experience in any other industry, but all I know is that working in hospitality, you definitely get a real true sense of belonging to a work family.
No, thank you. And it's really nice to know that actually, as you say, you build that work family. And I would say that especially, as you say, for those challenge it's probably more supportive than ever, or more important than ever, to have that support and that, that safety net there of people who are going through the same thing. And sort of it leads me on to my sort of next question, really, which is, we've spoken a lot about the soft skills you need, to survive and thrive in hospitality. It's the kind of thing, and I know from my own experiences, again, when I came into hospitality, I didn't know actually the kind of practical things I would be taught, if you see what I mean. So even if it's for little things from, I don't know, to how to serve this dish, how to carry this many glasses, how to serve silver service, all these kind of things, if you see what I mean. So if you sort of, if you had a young person coming in and you were going to start training with stuff, what kind of practical things are they actually going to be learning, if you see what I mean, that could serve them well in their career in hospitality?
Okay, so I'm gonna treat it as if we've got someone straight out of school or college and they've never had a job in their lives. So I'd love to say that we tailor it to every specific individual, but I think it's important that for everyone's confidence and for the way that we work, we want to make sure that you can do everything and that we teach you properly. So it is very fluid in terms of how we train, but we do like to make sure we tick boxes. The induction period lasts for as long as you need it to, realistically, and we always shadow, so we put someone new with someone who's slightly more experienced, who can kind of act as a mentor, if you like, as they start. We range from everything. Your first shift, especially the pier or the stop house, would be on the hot plate. So it would be, even if you've done it before, we'd be like, this is how you polish cutlery, this is how you do it properly, this is where you put it, this is where it all goes, because part of that isn't how you polish cutlery, it's where it all lives. So in order to be efficient when you're doing service, taking orders or whatever you're doing, you need to know where everything is. So it's kind of like you're using that time to map out the environment that you're in. We know that anyone can polish cutlery, but it's mapping out, and what you're learning is the pace and the speed and how to prioritize your work. There's learning how to make coffees, barista skills. At the pier we have a push button, but we do actually have a barista machine at the pier as well. But all of these things, it's not just the soft skills like you say, but it's you're making products at the end of the day, and you're learning skills to facilitate the service. It's really hard to go through it. You need to know the products well. So the reason why we start on hot plate is so you can see the dishes. You can't take someone's food order if you don't have a clue what we're offering people. So it's kind of like how we're teaching you the product knowledge, but you need to learn it for yourself. There's wine knowledge, there's knowledge about the hotel rooms, there's knowledge about the check-in and check-out process, there's till training, cashing up, making reservations. There's so much to it, and it is very people facing, but there is a lot of back of house administration to do as well, just to prepare for a service. Table plans, where is everyone going to sit, when does the table need to be back, when are you going to turn it over. So there's a lot to it. The business side of it is also quite important. I think the more you know about business, the more it'll help you to grow and become more efficient in what you're doing.
No, I can relate so much to what you're saying there, and again, sort of relating it to my own career journey. It's only when you said it there at the end, actually, about all the different things you're doing and all the different things you're learning, that actually I realised that how, when I've done roles outside of hospitality, how much I owe to hospitality for harnessing those skills. Whether it's, as I say, whether it's learning about different products in different areas, from what I sort of learning how to upsell a wine list, you see what I mean? Talking to people, building communication, these are skills I now use on a daily basis. I find it a lot easier to talk to people nowadays because I've had years of talking to them about, as I say, why they're in the area or what they'd like to order or anything like that. And
Exactly.
actually how many transferable skills hospitality gives you.
I think hospitality is a great stepping stone to any career. Honestly, I do, because it teaches so much confidence. And we've had people over the years who their first day that you say hello to them and they just turn red because they don't know how to talk. But then seeing them a year, 2, 3 years down the line and what they've achieved, they turn into different people, and it's lovely to see. I think one thing that hospitality is very much customer service orientated if you're working in the right places, but I think you also need to hone in on the skills. Basically, you're a salesman or a salesperson with fantastic customer service skills, and part of going through the pandemic, I think it made everyone realize how important sales were. When you think that when the 2-meter distancing rule came in, we essentially had to halve our capacity in the restaurants, but in order to make any money or make any profit, the margins are so tight, we still needed to take the same amount of money that we did previously to pay everything we needed to pay. So I think then it really hones in as to how important you are as front of house staff, especially in making those sales, because we essentially needed to try and get everyone spending double at a time when people didn't really have much money. Yeah. So yeah, I think then you really realise how much it is a sales role as well. But yeah, I think hospitality, you just need to take it. A lot of people start 13, 14 back in the day, and it's a fantastic job to see you through, but there's a turning point where you decide that you want to take it seriously, and I think for me that was about 19, where I really wanted to knuckle down and knew it was a career for me, and then you move on.
I appreciate you talking about your sort of your journey there, and as you say, where you sort of made those key decisions. And it actually leads me quite nicely on to the final question I'm going to ask, really, which I ask to all the people I speak to when I'm having these employer talks, which is basically, as I say, you've sort of summarised your career path and the experiences you've had to get to where you are. If you could go back and speak to, let's say, 17-year-old Danielle, you're about to sort of, as I say, go out fully on your career journey and stuff, based on the experiences you've had now and the things you've learned, if you could go back and give one piece of career advice to young Danielle, what would it be?
I think it would have been to oh, that's a really good question.
That's why I ask it.
I think I always knew that I wanted to be a hotel manager. When I left, when we were leaving school, my friends did you do each other little books, and they did like this page of Hotel Danielle. I think it was a picture of me in front of a magazine cut out of a hotel in Benidorm, because that's what I always wanted to do, and they knew that. I think what it would be is I probably spent too many of the early years I think I didn't realise that leaders don't have to be managers in a team. And what I know now from reflecting on my experience and what I'm studying now as well, and I feel that I've realised that leaders don't have to be managers. And I always sort of waited to become a manager to then be kind of to try and push service and people around me more. And I used to think I had to be a supervisor or a manager in order to develop the team and encourage other people. But I think what everyone needs to understand is leaders are throughout the organisation, and if you are leading by example, you get noticed more as having management potential. But I think just being professional throughout your career is key, because you just need to be consistent. I think it's the consistency. It's taken me quite a while to get there, sorry, but I think knowing that I needed, if I was fantastic at my job one day and then not the next, that inconsistency really affected my progression. I think if I'd have just not necessarily done a fantastic job every day, but just a lovely steady one, maybe getting better and better now and again, I probably would have, I don't know, achieved more before I did, if that makes sense. But I think life is also about enjoying yourself. So yeah, it's a hard one to say, but I think it would be trying to be a bit more consistent in what I was doing, and realizing that I could lead and motivate people without being a manager. If you've got ideas and motivating those around you just by doing it, really. I think that would be it.